The premiere episode wastes no time in proving that Amy and Nathan's love story will not be a fairy tale. Right from the start, we can see the tension rising as Nathan's sister pushes her own selfish agenda, determined to take control of the ranching business and refusing to compromise with Heartland Ranch. For Nathan, this becomes an impossible situation. On one hand, he wants to fight for Amy and stand beside her no matter what. On the other, he is trapped by family ties and responsibilities that demand his loyalty. This inner conflict creates cracks in his relationship with Amy almost instantly. Amy, who is still carrying the heavy scars of losing Ty, finds herself once again in the middle of heartbreak and uncertainty. She knows what it feels like to love and lose, and now she fears history repeating itself. What makes this even harder is the way Nathan unknowingly mirrors Ty in small moments. The comparisons haunt Amy, making it almost impossible for her to open her heart fully. And when Caleb gets dragged into the mess, the situation explodes. Nathan lashes out at him, accusing Caleb of never being able to measure up to Ty, and in that moment, we realize just how deeply Ty's memory continues to shape every single relationship Amy has. But the romance struggles are only one part of the chaos. In this episode, Jack steps into the spotlight in a storyline that feels both terrifying and heartbreaking. His car is vandalized, and it's not just a random act of violence, it's the beginning of something far more dangerous. This attack shakes him to his core, forcing us to question whether Jack's health and safety are in serious danger. When we see Jack and Lindy later in the hospital with a horse, the unease only grows stronger. Was this a clue that Jack himself is battling health issues? Is Heartland preparing us for the unthinkable, the possible end of Jack's journey? The weight of this possibility lingers over the entire episode like a storm cloud, making every scene with Jack feel more precious and more fragile. At the same time, Lou finds herself in the middle of the ultimate test of loyalty. She knows that siding with Heartland against Nathan's sister could mean destroying Amy's relationship, but she makes it clear she will not let the ranch fall into the wrong hands, even if it means Amy's happiness is sacrificed. Lou has always been bold and sometimes overwhelming, but in this case, her determination feels unshakable. The heartbreaking reality is that her decision may set Amy on a path of loneliness once again, and this makes the family tension even more painful to watch. By the end of the episode, we are left with more questions than answers. Can Amy truly move forward with Nathan, or will Ty's shadow always hold her back? Will Jack survive the mounting threats around him, or is this truly the beginning of the end for the heart and soul of Heartland? And what consequences will Lou's tough choices bring for everyone at the ranch? This premiere is filled with warning signs, hidden clues, and emotional landmines that guarantee Season 19 will not be an easy ride. As the episode moves deeper, it becomes crystal clear that Amy and Nathan are standing on a fragile line, one wrong move away from everything falling apart. The emotional weight of Ty's absence is everywhere, not only in Amy's heart, but in the way the family interacts with Nathan. Every conversation, every silence, feels loaded with comparisons. For Amy, Nathan represents both hope and danger. Hope because he gives her a glimpse of love after loss, and danger because she fears losing him just like she lost Ty. This fear plays out in the smallest moments, like the way Amy hesitates when Nathan reaches for her hand, or the way she holds back words she clearly wants to say. These tiny pauses speak louder than any dialogue, reminding us that grief is not something you move past, it's something you carry. And Nathan, for all his good intentions, begins to feel that weight as well. The moment he explodes at Caleb, calling him out for living in Ty's shadow, we realize that Nathan himself has been swallowed by the same insecurities. Instead of standing confidently in his own identity, he constantly measures himself against a man who is no longer alive, and that slowly eats away at his confidence. This insecurity, mixed with the pressure from his sister, transforms Nathan into a ticking time bomb throughout the episode. Meanwhile, Jack's storyline grows darker with every scene. The vandalized car, which at first seemed like a cruel but isolated incident, begins to feel like the first step in a campaign against him. The way the camera lingers on Jack's reaction, the exhaustion in his face, and the unease in his voice makes it clear that he is not as strong as he once was. For years, Jack has been the anchor of Heartland. the unshakable force that everyone depends on. But now, cracks are showing, and for the first time, we feel genuine fear that he might not be able to withstand what's coming. The hospital scene with Lindy and the horse only amplifies this fear. On the surface, it looks like a routine moment, but underneath, it feels like a warning that Jack's time may be limited. If this season is truly about endings, then Jack's story could be the most devastating ending of all, and the episode plants that idea in our minds without ever saying it directly. Lou, on the other hand, steps into the role of protector in a way that is both admirable and controversial. Her determination to shield Heartland from Nathan's sister is fierce, but it comes at a heavy cost. In one of the most powerful moments of the episode, Lou makes it clear that she is willing to sacrifice Amy's happiness if it means protecting the family legacy. Her words cut deep, not only for Amy, but also for the audience. Because as much as we may want Amy to find love again, it is impossible to argue with Lou's logic. The ranch is more than just land. It is history, heritage, and the soul of their family. Sacrificing it for the sake of romance would feel wrong, and Lou is not the kind of person to let emotion cloud her judgment. Yet this decision places an invisible wall between the sisters, a wall that could grow taller and stronger as the season unfolds. Adding another layer of tension is Lindy. As Amy's daughter, she senses the changes happening around her, and her fear of losing her mother adds heartbreaking innocence to the episode. Lindy's anxiety is not only about Nathan, but also about the fragile balance between family and romance. She clings to Amy with a quiet desperation, as though she knows something terrible is on the horizon. This emotional honesty from a child reminds us that Heartland has always been about more than just horses and romance. It's about the bonds of family, tested under pressure, and the way love can sometimes hurt as much as it heals. By the end of the second act, the premiere establishes 3 parallel battles: Amy's battle with her grief and her shaky romance, Nathan's battle with his sister and his insecurities, and Jack's battle with the unseen forces threatening him. Each storyline feels like a piece of a puzzle, and when combined, they paint a picture of a season that may truly redefine the future of Heartland. The suspense comes not from knowing what will happen, but from not knowing who will survive the emotional storm. Will Amy's heart finally heal or shatter again? Will Nathan prove himself or lose everything? Will Jack's strength carry him through or abandon him at the worst possible time? These are the haunting questions that the end leaves us with as the story moves forward, pulling us deeper into the chaos of Season 19. As the tension rises in Episode 1, the cracks between Amy and Nathan widen in ways that feel almost impossible to repair. Nathan's sister emerges as the ultimate obstacle, and what makes her so dangerous is not just her greed but her history with Amy's family. She knows their weak spots, she knows their vulnerabilities, and she uses that knowledge like a weapon. Her refusal to compromise becomes more than a business decision. It becomes a personal vendetta, and Nathan is caught in the middle of a war he never wanted. This isn't just about money or land. It's about power, pride, and control. For Amy, watching Nathan bend under the weight of his sister's demands is heartbreaking because it forces her to see a version of him she doesn't recognize. He is no longer the calm, steady partner she thought she could depend on. Instead, he is a man torn in two, trying to serve 2 masters, and in the process, he risks losing them both. The love between Amy and Nathan is undeniable, but love alone is not enough when family and heritage are at stake. The shadow of Ty continues to haunt every interaction. His presence lingers like a ghost, unspoken but undeniable. Amy feels it most, but Nathan feels it too, and that tension reaches a breaking point when Nathan openly admits he can never live up to Ty's memory. This confession is raw, almost painful to watch, because it strips Nathan of the confident image he has tried to maintain. He is no longer Amy's equal in this moment. He is a man battling the legacy of another, and it leaves him feeling small, invisible, and unworthy. For Amy, hearing this is like reopening an old wound. She doesn't want Nathan to compete with Ty, but she cannot stop herself from making those comparisons. The result is an emotional stalemate. Amy cannot let go of the past, and Nathan cannot step out of its shadow. Their love story, which should be a source of healing, instead becomes another battlefield where old scars and new fears collide. Jack's storyline grows even darker in this section. The vandalism is revealed not as an isolated act of cruelty, but as the start of a larger pattern. The sense of danger surrounding him escalates, and with it, the fear that Jack is facing enemies he cannot fight alone. For decades, Jack has been the protector of Heartland, the one who shields everyone else from harm. But now, the tables have turned, and he is the one in need of protection. The thought of Jack being vulnerable, of Jack possibly reaching the end of his journey, is almost unbearable. His scenes are heavy with symbolism: the broken car, the hospital, the quiet moments of reflection, all suggesting that something irreversible is on the horizon. The episode does not give us answers, but it plants enough clues to make us fear the worst. And when Jack's storyline is placed alongside Amy's crumbling romance, the theme of endings becomes impossible to ignore. Lou's role in this section is ruthless, but it also feels necessary. She makes it clear that she will fight Nathan's sister with everything she has, even if it means destroying Amy's chance at happiness. Lou has always been pragmatic, sometimes to a fault, but here her resolve feels almost cold. She doesn't hesitate, she doesn't flinch, and she doesn't apologize. To her, protecting Heartland is worth every personal sacrifice, even if it costs Amy her relationship. What makes this so powerful is the way Amy responds, not with anger, but with quiet devastation. She understands her sister's logic, but that doesn't make it hurt any less. This silent tension between the two sisters is more heartbreaking than any fight could ever be, because it shows how much they love each other and how much they are willing to risk for what they believe is right. And then there is Lindy, who continues to carry the emotional core of the story. Her fear of losing her mother intensifies in this section, and her vulnerability adds a heartbreaking innocence to the chaos. She asks questions Amy cannot answer, she looks for reassurance Amy cannot give, and in those moments we see the cost of Amy's choices more clearly than ever. It is not just her heart on the line, it is her daughter's sense of safety and stability. This conflict between romance, family, and parenting becomes one of the most powerful threads in the episode because it highlights the impossible balancing act Amy faces. Can she be a mother, a partner, and a daughter to her family all at once? Or will she have to choose? By the close of this section, the premiere has woven together a tapestry of tension, heartbreak, and unanswered questions. The sense of dread grows heavier, the feeling of finality sharper. The end is not just a title, it is a warning. A warning that love can fail, that family can fracture, and that even the strongest among us, like Jack, can fall. Every storyline pushes us closer to the edge, and as the episode moves into its final acts, the suspense is almost unbearable. The fourth section of the episode takes everything we've seen so far and twists it tighter, leaving us breathless with the sheer weight of what's at stake. Amy and Nathan's relationship begins to feel less like a romance and more like a test of survival. Their love is strong, but the forces against them are stronger. Nathan's sister grows bolder, making moves that put both Heartland Ranch and Nathan's reputation in danger. She doesn't just argue with Lou, she undermines Nathan himself, making him look weak in front of the very people he's trying to protect. For Amy, this is devastating because she doesn't want to be caught in the middle of a family war. But no matter how much she tries to focus on her own happiness, the conflict drags her in. The heartache becomes almost unbearable when Nathan admits that he feels like he is failing everyone: his sister, his father, Amy, and even himself. His words sting because they are true. No matter what choice he makes, someone he loves will suffer. This moment strips Nathan down to his core, and for the first time, we see him not as Amy's partner, but as a man crushed by responsibilities too heavy for one person to carry. Meanwhile, Amy's own struggle with Ty's memory explodes into something more raw and unfiltered. In one of the most emotional beats of the episode, Amy confesses that she is terrified of loving Nathan fully because she believes loss is inevitable. Her pain is not only about Ty's death, it's about the trauma of rebuilding her life, only to risk watching it collapse again. This honesty is both beautiful and heartbreaking because it shows how much Amy still carries her past inside her. Even when she wants to move forward, her heart won't let her. And Nathan, hearing this, doesn't know how to respond. How can he compete with a ghost? How can he promise a forever that Amy no longer believes in? Their love is caught in this cycle of hope and despair, and it becomes painfully clear that if something doesn't change, their romance will not survive this season. While Amy and Nathan's love story unravels, Jack's storyline reaches terrifying new levels. The vandalism escalates into direct threats, making it impossible to dismiss the idea that someone is targeting him. Jack, who has always faced challenges head-on, begins to show signs of weariness we've never seen before. His body language, his quiet pauses, and the way he looks at Lindy suggests that he knows something is wrong, whether it's the outside danger closing in on him or his own health quietly failing. The scene in the hospital earlier suddenly takes on new meaning, hinting that Jack's journey may be nearing its end. The idea of losing Jack feels unthinkable, yet the episode continues to build this tension, forcing us to prepare for the worst, even as we hope for the best. It's not just a storyline, it feels like a countdown. And that dread makes every scene with him heavier, more emotional, and almost unbearable to watch without wondering if we're seeing his final chapter. Lou's determination to fight Nathan's sister also sharpens in this section, and she begins to cross lines that even Amy struggles to accept. Lou has always been a strong leader, but here her strength turns into stubbornness. She insists that protecting the ranch is more important than protecting Amy's romance, and she makes choices that clearly drive a wedge between the sisters. The pain in Amy's eyes as she realizes her sister is willing to risk her happiness is haunting. Yet, as viewers, we understand Lou's position. Her choices are not made out of cruelty, but out of loyalty to the legacy their family built. The tragedy is that this loyalty may cost her the trust of the person she loves most, her sister. The silent rift between Amy and Lou becomes one of the most heartbreaking elements of the premiere, because it suggests that family bonds, which have always been the core of Heartland, may not be strong enough to survive this storm. And Lindy, sweet, innocent Lindy, remains the quiet voice of truth in the middle of all this chaos. Her fears become more pronounced, her questions sharper. She asks Amy if she is going to lose Nathan the way she lost Ty. And the look on Amy's face says everything. She doesn't know. That uncertainty, spoken through the eyes of a child, is one of the most painful reminders that Amy's choices ripple beyond herself. Lindy's safety, Lindy's sense of family, and Lindy's hope for the future are all tied to what happens next. The weight of being both a mother and a woman in love bears down on Amy in every scene, and by this point in the episode, the pressure feels unbearable.